I got the horse right here.
Hello racing fans, and welcome back to another edition of Handicappers Corner, brought to you by the Derby Bar and Grill. I'm Mike Hedslin with Drew Forster. We're going to go through the Sunday, May the 24th races at Hastings. We do have 8 races on tap, a series of excellent allowance. We have no stake today, but a lot of stakes caliber horses that will be probably using these races as springboards into stakes
as a prep
races.
into a stake, for sure. Should be the weatherman's call for another sunny weekend. We've been very lucky.
Perfect.
Great crowds this year, good handle, and a lot of that is due to the great weather. We're kind of like baseball. We're a fair weather sport, and the weatherman.
Outdoor sport, you got to have weather.
Yeah.
You got to have weather with an outdoor sport.
Speaking of weather, last Monday was a beautiful day at Hastings. On the Saturday card, we went over the Philly stake, the Strawberry Morn, which was won by Hollywood Miss. We're going to take a look now at the John Longden 6000.
Recap here of the Longden. They're going to put them back on the starting gate. 2
to watch out of the gate here are Modern and Herbie D. That both go for it and set absolutely blistering fractions.
21 and 1.
21 and 1. Pedro pushes to get the lead on Herbie D. I think they're feeling that with the lead, he'll be more dangerous.
But Richard ain't giving it up.
But yeah,
they do have another horse in the race.
Exactly.
They had Classic Sense.
Exactly.
So I mean, but they were winging. There was a gap of about 6 lengths back to Title Contender and Devil in Disguise, and they were in the catbird seat. And then a big gap of 5 more to Mr. Bowling, who was comfortably being ridden by Mario Gutierrez. It was great to see Mario back.
But yeah, just blistering. Now they go 44 and
44 flat.
44 flat.
It was like insanity.
And Title Contender makes a nice move here. Looks like a winner
early
here.
move.
Yeah, a little.
It's pretty early.
It is pretty early. Going into the turn, Rico Walcott pushes him into that 44 pace and takes a commanding pace. But here comes Mr. Bowling, a very
scooting up the inside. He's 5th on the rail. He's going to push out his stablemate Devil in Disguise here. He's going to ask for room, and he got it.
A classic Mario ride. Mario absolutely just fits this horse like a glove. When he asked him, it was go time, and runs down Title Contender in the final strides here. And beautiful ride, beautiful day.
Mr. Bowling.
Beautiful day for the Troy Taylor barn, yes, and of course owner Glenn Todd.
They win both stakes.
Won both stakes.
That was good. Glenn and Troy, they pump a lot of money in the business. You know, they do a lot of good for the industry, and it's nice to see that, you know, that was a great day for them, and nice to see Mario was a part of it as well.
Funny that our last, the guys who have dominated the trader standings over the last few years, Craig McPherson and Troy Taylor, both having breakout days. Troy winning both stakes and Craig McPherson winning 4, so he is back on track. For any of you trying to throw Craig's horses out of your pick 4s or whatnot, he's back with a big 4-win day. Richard Hamill as well won.
Yeah, no, he had a great afternoon.
Let's jump right into the Sunday.
Start on Sunday, Drew.
I'll start the Sunday card. The first race is a maiden $4,000 event for fillies and mares, going long. Nice to see we're getting far enough into the season here. We do get some mile and 16th races. That makes things a little more interesting. And speaking of Troy Taylor, I've gone to Said Taylor, the 4-horse. She ran a very good race behind Cassidy Command in her opener. Jumped up to 8,000 and ran into a monster in Bullet. She did get beat by 19 lengths that day, but when you're running against a horse like Bullet, they can kind of take the life out of you.
That was a maiden allowance. Bullet was dropping from maiden allowance into maiden 8. So
dropping from the clouds. I look for Said Taylor now to rebound. Should be forwardly placed early by jockey David Lopez. I look for her to get in the winner's circle this time. I put the 5-horse Delta Beauty, Richard Hamill re-rides for Phil Hall. She comes out of the same race, and I look for her to be definitely part of this one too. She comes out of that Bullet race, which was as tough a maiden 8 as you're going to find. Now she drops into the $4,000 level. And the third spot, I went to Rob Mabin's Joe It All. Looked around. She's one of the more accomplished horses of the rest. I went 4, 5, and 1.
I don't have a lot to add. I agree. Said Taylor looks like miles the best in here. If this horse can route, which is definitely bred to route, this horse should win the money. Delta Beauty for 2nd, Joe It All for 3rd. Those are your 3 horses in a, you know, a pretty, I don't know if it's competitive first race. It's the 4. It looks like it's going to be a 2 to 5 winner here.
It is the first half of the Daily Double. You can say that.
Yep, and it's the first leg of the win 4. You got a key in the 4. Said Taylor. I went 4, 5, and 1. On to the second race. Got some maiden $25,000 fillies and mares going 6 1/2 furlongs. Got a field of 6 signed on. I went to the 2-horse Casual Belief, just the 1 run last year. for Pat Jarvis. This horse did run 3.5 furlongs, didn't get the best of trips. I love the work tab. This horse has been working in 101 and change, and then a 6 furlongs in 113, which definitely signals readiness to me. And then back to a solid half. Sean Savacci does a lot of work for Pat Jarvis. He gets the call, and I'm going to try that one to win it. Put the 5-horse Race the Win in for second. Horse dropping from maiden allowance. Coming out of that Sailing for the Sun race, who I like to win on Saturday. Race the Win should be pretty alive in here with Pedro in the tack. And I put the 3-horse Riohana in for third. A troubled trip. Didn't get the best of trips last time. Richard Hamill will take over in the irons, and this one I think will run a little bit better as well. I went 2, 5, and 3.
I went to the 1, Anastasia Lass, the Dave Forster horse in here, owned by Ray Hansen, out of Langara Lass, of course, the Capilano family that Ray Hansen's owned. Good third, her first start this year behind Meg Geary. Only got beat a length by Rockport Dancer. Got beat 2 lengths in a stake last year to run fourth. And that last trip in the maiden special weight Sailing for the Sun, she absolutely got wiped out at the start. So I just kind of throw that one out, and she got a 58 buyer the time before that. If she can run back to the race 2 back, I think that puts her right in the mix here. I put the 3, Riohana. Barb heads off to a very good start. Spent last summer with Tim McCann in Golden Gate, and when she did arrive here in the fall, Barb thought enough of her to run her in the Fantasy. And that was a very funny race. A horse went down and everything. So the fact she got beaten 18 lengths, probably not the true test of where she was in the race. And a good fourth this year, first out for maiden 25, so behind Flare Miss and Blended. So I got her in the second spot. And I put the 6-horse Stormstalker, another one who was in that last 25. Rob Van Overshot puts the blinkers on, and Alex Marti will take over. And I can see her being part of the pace presence here and take him a long way. I went 1, 3, and 6 in the second. On the third, 3-year-olds and up, nice allowance race here, first condition allowance. And I looked at this one a few different ways. I ended up on the 3, Never a Better Cause. Very talented 2-year-old here for Pat Jarvis. Last year, he only ran 3 times. The best he did was a second behind Jordan's Quest, but he ran against tough horses with Aspen Getaway, Coffee Grinder. Right. And he's been training forwardly for this. He attracts Pedro Alvarado. Look for him to get the lead and say, come and catch me if you can. The second spot, I put Wonder World. He did win the Sale Stakes here last year, and kind of fell apart in the Derby. I didn't mind him in the Derby. He was 50 to 1. I thought he could maybe be a bit more of a presence. But he wasn't. He came back in a allowance race and a good third behind Off the Top and Laguna Blaze. He does have that first out this year, running against Brass and Gold, Taylor's Deal, and Go for Guinness. Only got beat 5 lengths, and that was a very tough field.
Way tougher. Those are way tougher.
Way tougher than this field. So I put him in the second spot. And finally, Diamonds, as I mentioned, Barb off to a good start. This horse did just break his maiden at Turf Paradise. He's racing fit, running that race on the 10th of March, and I look for him to definitely be involved in this field. I got 3, 4, 1.
I have the same 3, Drew. I went to the 1, finally Diamonds on top. I don't have a strong conviction about him. I wish he had a little bit more speed to him, because I don't know who's going to get the lead in this race. Whoever gets the lead in this race is going to have a big
I think Pedro is going to try and get it.
Who's going to win it. And finally Diamonds can break and show a bit. Because this horse has been running at Turf Paradise. They have very fast horses. You don't get the lead down at Turf Paradise, usually going 6 or 6.5 furlongs. And this is a huge horse. When you see, if you're near the paddock, take a look at him. He's about 17 hands high. He's a big horse, and might be better on a mile track, and maybe he will regress on a 5.5 furlong track, but we'll see. But I do like the horse. This is not a tough race. I think these horses are well within his scope. I think he'll be very dangerous. I agree with your 3 that Never a Better Cause. A shortened season and an abbreviated season last year. Obviously, injuries have held him back from running a little more often, but I do. Obviously the work tab has been very good, and Pat Jarvis is, off to, her horses are running well, but they're just, getting in some tough spots.
Hasn't hit the winner's circle yet, but yeah, she's got him ready to roll this year, and watch for her.
Ready.
She's one I can see starting to collect wins, as she's,
It's like Craig. Craig was 0 for the first 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden won 4 races.
Starts dropping them in, finding the right spots, and I see Pat doing the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. And I put the 4-horse Wonder World in for third, exiting the tough Brass and Gold, Taylor's Deal, Go for Guinness race. That was like running in a stake.
Yeah.
And this is a lot easier. Wonder World will be more of a factor. I went 1, 3, and 4 in the third. On to the fourth race, maiden $25,000 3-year-olds here going 6.5 furlongs. I had a lot of trouble with it. I ended up on the 7. This is the moment, dropping from maiden special out of that Peace Arch race. I don't think the rail did this horse any favor last time. I think being on the outside will really help. If you look at his race, his final race last year, he had an outside draw. He was very comfortable sitting on the outside. He ran a good second to Aditya, who's a very nice horse. He'll be running later on. And I just think this is the moment, is drawn a nice spot on the class drop. But the 3-horse Smart Focus and the 5, if we knew then, in for second and third, they're interchangeable for me.
Yeah.
They were separated by nothing last time. I just put the 3 in second just because he draws inside this time. He was outside last time and had the wider trip. So I went 7-3-5.
I got the same horses. I don't have a lot to add. I went with the 5, if we knew then. I thought he was unlucky to lose last time. Went to the lead and got beat by Call It Even, who was a fit horse coming in from Turf Paradise. I put Smart Focus in the second spot. Again, he was wide, pressing the pace 3 wide most of the race. And as you mentioned, he moves inside. He could be more dangerous today. And the 7, your top pick, This Is the Moment. Obviously coming out of a very tough, made the special weight into the 25. Mike Anderson made very few wrong choices so far in this meet. He's been on fire with 7 out of 27, batting 26%. And that's what I like about the 5-2 is Anita Bolton's currently 12%. That's not really her numbers. Look for her to start
No, they'll heat up
and get her numbers going. So I went with her. 5, 3, and 7 for me in the 4th. On the 5th, $16,000 event for 3-year-olds, and I'm going 6.5, and I've gone to the trusty old warrior, number 5, Lauren 500. He knows how to win. He beat Bear Rock and Roll last time. I don't see anybody Bear Rock and Roll like in here, and I think Lauren 500 gets the lead and runs away with it under Mark Buchanan. Good work. He came back and worked a minute on May 18th, and I say all systems go for Lauren 500. I put Bluegrass Pride, an interesting horse, out of the Craig McPherson barns. We just mentioned Craig McPherson absolutely heating up, winning 4 last Monday. This horse hasn't ran since 2013. He was a Derby horse then of Craig's. He was kind of his Derby horse. Hamill rode him. He ran into title contender in the Derby that year, but he did win the Derby trial, and this was kind of Craig's best 3-year-old. Hasn't run since then, so obviously something went amiss. Yeah. He shows up for $16,000. I think he's probably put him in a spot he feels where he can get in the winner's circle. And I got him in the 2nd spot. And the 3rd spot, I went to the 6. I couldn't decide. I was going to put Franzer's Finest in. I ended up going with Tapachero. Dino Condolino's horse is running very good, and he comes out of that tough Brass and Gold race too, way down for $16,000. When Dino's been dropping his horses this year, like High Force, like Bullet, they've been running through the bridle, and a very well-bred son of Tappet only got beat 6 lengths by Brass and Gold, so I put him in the 3rd spot. I went 5, 1, and 6.
Yeah, I have your same top picks. I went to the 5, Lauren 500. He's the solid sprinter in here. There are horses as good as him going farther, like Tapacero, Rare Courage, who's a recent claim by Frank Barabee, Ganby. There's a lot of these horses want to run Franzer's Finest. They all want to run farther. But Lauren 500 has drawn a field of, half the field wants to run long. And so this is a big advantage for Lauren 500. Not that he needs an advantage. And he's going to be really tough to beat. Mark Buchanan re-rides for Rob Mabin. And I agree with the 1-horse Bluegrass Pride. If anyone can knock him off, it'll be the returning Bluegrass Pride, who's been off a year and a half. And it's tough to come off a big layoff like that, but he has been working well. Richard Hamill comes off of Franzer's Finest to ride him. But that's probably more of a barn decision than anything else. He is the first call rider for
exactly.
Craig.
You don't read too much into that.
Is better. But we'll see. But I want 5, 1, and 2. But I agree with you. Lauren 500 looks like a key to start off your late pick 4. On to the 6th race. Some $4,000 fillies and mares here. Non-worth a 2 lifetime, going 6.5 furlongs. I really like the 6-horse Little Blossom. I liked a lot of her races last year. She looks like she's going to be the lone speed. Her work tub has been excellent for Mel Snow. He owns this horse with his wife, Fran, and I just think Little Blossom has found a great Get Paid row. It's just a lot of the stars seem to be lining up for a good performance for Little Blossom. I put the 3 Cassidy Command in for 2nd. Not a super fast horse away from the gate, but one that will be in position. Tried chasing Zanita Rosé last time. Didn't work out well. It cost her 2nd and 3rd. She ended up 4th. But I think she can be less aggressively ridden and maybe give Little Blossom the lead. I think that could be your exactor 6 and 3. And I put the 7, Miss Rose Parade, who will break through with a win one of these days. And I put her in for 3rd. But I just thought she had a good trip last time, and that was just her first race of the year, so she can improve. But I went 6, 3, and 7. I do like Little Blossom though.
I went to the 7, actually, missed Rose Parade. I thought, unlucky to lose to Zanita Rosé last time, and she's got the start. That's why I like her over Little Blossom. Little Blossom will be making her first start of the year, and I like the fact that Miss Rose Parade does have a start under her belt, so she might be a little bit fitter. I put Little Blossom in for second, the reasons you mentioned, and I put Zip 1, Jody Rawson's horse in here. She's in the 1 hole, and I bet she goes. When she did break her maiden, last year, she was near the front, right? She laid good, and Mark Buchanan likes to be on the lead, and Jody Rawson's off to a good start, and I could see him sending this daughter, Krista Gala, and saying, catch me if you can. So I don't mind Zip 1. I went 7, 6, and 1 in the 6th. On to the 7th. Speaking of good races.
Oh, what a great allowance.
7th this is a corker. Tough to pick 3 in here.
It is.
This was
like, leave horses out. You got to leave some nice horses out.
Yeah, this was like the stake the other day with all those good horses, and it's tough to get just 3. I'm going to leave out somebody I regret. I wouldn't go for Guinness. He did get beat by Brass and Gold and Taylor's Deal last time. Both those horses have been running though, and if it didn't take too much out of him, I think he'll get a lot out of that race, and he'll bounce back good. Richard Hamill rides for trainer Dave Forster. I like the fact that Reyes now departed. Forster did get a top rider in Richard Hamill, who's red hot right now, to ride Go for Guinness. I put Brass and Gold in the 2nd spot. I put him in the winner's circle last time when I said that he needed to go longer. I've said that about 2 horses this year.
Great ride.
He needed to go longer. I said the same thing about Roy's Dream the other day. He needed to go longer, and he wins and pays $60. But yeah, Pedro gave this horse an aggressive ride and a winning ride. Off of that race, I thought those 2 ran big races.
Big numbers.
And Go for Guinness was on the rail. He got pressured a little bit, and he didn't have the race. So I think it's between those 2 in a wide open event. I put Commander, who shows up for a price for the first time in his career. And as Mike said famously a few years ago, he might win by 10. But Commander hasn't been running great so far in his 2 efforts this year. The class relief, I think, will help him. And the classy old boy who's made $573,000. I never want to throw him out. I could see him winning it for top connections. I went 2, 5, and 7. I did leave out, I know your top pick, Slice of Red. I left out Twist Scripts, Shooting Jacket,
there's
Tracker.
Nice horses. I mean, there's cool horses in
Tracker, who just ran a huge race for 25.
For 25. He's up for 50, but it's a different ball game. But still, it's a good race. Al Capone. There are nice horses in here.
Senior Rojo couldn't even get a jockey.
I know, poor guy. Doesn't have enough of a good resume to get a jockey.
The 450,000 hasn't done enough for him.
Can't get a rider. As you mentioned, I went to the 4-horse Slice of Red. I just think he's in a good spot in this allowance race. He had really no chance in the Modern title contender.
Only got beat 3 lengths that day and had a nice break.
He didn't get a trip, and it's funny when you're running at stakes horses. It really depends how you break, and if you leave there somewhat just okay, you will find yourself laying 6th. But against this caliber, breaking like he breaks, he might be laying 3rd. And that's way different. It's a different kind of speed, different class. And I just think Slice of Red will be far more prominent in this race early because there isn't a lot of speed. I agree with your dad's horse. Go for Guinness is live in here. This horse will likely get the lead and be very dangerous, and it might not be a very fast pace. But I think Slice of Red's going to get a good trip. I think if he does get a good trip, he's the best horse in this particular allowance race. So I'm going to go with him to win it. Put Commander in for 2nd. He gets off the rail. I think that'll help. I don't think he liked being down on the inside.
He's such a big boy.
He still doesn't break great sprinting. And this gets himself into more trouble when he's down on the inside. But he draws outside. He might be able to be 3 wide the whole race, and that might be what he needs to win. That's what he did the first start last year. He was like 3 and 4 wide when he defeated Casino Boss and Wildcat. He had a similar trip. He had a wide trip, and that's what this is a better draw for Commander.
He's such a big boy. Yeah, he likes to be outside and get those big legs moving.
And I agree with Brass and Gold. I put him in for 3rd. Nice gritty win over some nice horses, Taylor's Deal and Go for Guinness. But a good race. I left out Go for Guinness off the top 3. It's a Robo.
Yeah, you left out my top pick. I left out yours.
This is a really good allowance race. It shows that we still have really nice horses that aren't in stakes. And we had a nice stake race the other day on Victoria Day. We still got nice horses in that 2nd level.
And nice to get 9 of them,
On to the 8th and final. That's another allowance race. This is for 3-year-olds. Sure, a lot of these will be heading for Stakes Company after this race when they start stretching out. This one's 6.5 furlongs, so going to feel the 7. I see a lot of speed in here. I think the front end's going to be crowded. I've gone to the 1, Cats on Fire. Good third place run after not the best of trips behind Cedarburg and Bluegrass Angus, and I don't think the pace was all that friendly to him either. While it was reasonably fast, it was not contested. There was a loose leader, a horse laying second,
and that's
getting
when,
comfortable trips.
That's when speed was winning everything too.
And yeah,
so it was very tough to run down
2
horses.
weeks, speed just dominated. And I just think there's going to be some pace in here. I think he'll enjoy the class relief into a non-2, non-3 allowance. Same for the 3-horse Bandoliero, who had no luck in the Jim Coleman Province, was wide early, out of position, and just fanned out. It wasn't Janine Smith's fault at all. There was other horses that were bouncing in. It was just the post dictated, the pace dictated that she was forced out, and it was a mess. And the horse had no shot. Come back with good works. This horse is better than that race. And I put the 6, Adichie, in for 3rd. Another one that probably getting off the rail might help. Was kind of bottled up in behind horses and still run a decent race. I think those are your horses. I like the 3 horses coming out of the Jim Coleman Province, basically. I've got 1, 3, and 6.
I agree with Cats on Fire. I think he's really talented, young son of Sungold. 6 starts. He's only been out of the money once, and that was in his 2nd start in Golden Gate. He broke his maiden in Fresno by 7 for 25. Those are tough races, and then to win one of those allowance 40s
He's
at Golden Gate.
probably better going along.
Yeah,
but,
I see that.
Still, I think the pace scenario is going to help him.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to give him something to run down. And as I've said before, Barb off to a really good start. I got Cats on Fire on top. I put Adichie in the 2nd spot. Only got beat 3 lengths by Cedarburg. He was backed well that day. He was only 6-1. He was kind of a wise guy pick. A lot of guys were picking Adichie, and for owner James Reddekopp, only got beat by 3. But I think Adichie, I would not be surprised to see him in the winner's circle. As we mentioned earlier, too, Anita Bolton is going to start to get the winner's circle at a good clip. You just watch. Then the 3rd spot, I was looking at Bandolero and Sedin. Those are the 2 that came out.
You know the Canuck. You know the Vancouver Canuck.
That's right. The other 2 that came out of the Jim Coleman Province, and he didn't have a great trip, and I think he's only run 3 times, and I think he's got a lot of talent. I think there's a lot of upside for Sedin, so I didn't want to leave him off the ticket.
He's got good speed.
I put him in 3rd spot. I went 1, 6, and 4 in the nightcap. Very good nightcap to finish off
Excellent
the
card.
weekend.
It's a really good card.
They are really good. Both days, very good cards. That'll do it for our analysis of the Sunday, May 24th card. Up next on screen will be our picks. Mike, as always, you're first.
There we go. Back in race number 1, I went to the 4-horse, Said Taylor. 4, 5, and 1 for me in the opener. Second race number 2, Casual Belief over the 5, Race the Wind, and the 3, Riohana. Race number 3, I went to the 1, Finally Diamonds over the 3, Never a Better Cause and Wonder World for 3rd. 4th race number 7, This Is the Moment on the class drop. I went 7, 3, and 5. Race number 5, the ultra consistent Lorne 500. I went 5, 1, and 2 in the 5th. 6th race number 6, Little Blossom. Doesn't have a race under her belt, but I think she might be good enough. I went 6, 3, and 7. In the 7th race, number 4, Slicer Red getting out of Stakes Company over the 7, Commander. Another one dropping, 4, 7, 5 for me in the 7th. And in the 8th and final, number 1, Cats on Fire over the 3, Bandoliero, and the 6, Adichie. I went 1, 3, and 6. On to Drew's picks.
In the first, I agree with Mike. I'm on number 4, Sad Taylor over the 5 and the 1. In the second, I went to the 1, Anasazi Last over the 3 and the 6. In the third, I went to the 3, Never a Better Cause over the 4 and the 1. In the 4th, I went to the 5, If We Knew Then over the 3 and the 7. In the 5th, I'm with Mike and the classy old boy, Lorne 500, number 5 over the 1 and the 6. In the 6th, I went to the 7, Miss Rose Parade over the 6 and the 1. In the 7th, the feature, I went to the 2, Go for Guinness over Brass and Gold and Commander. And the nightcap, the 8th, I agree with Mike on number 1, Cats on Fire over the 6 and the 4.
Well, that'll do it for the Sunday, May 25th edition of Handicappers Corner. Don't forget the Belmont Stakes coming up on June the 6th.
See if American Pharaoh can do it.
Triple Crown. It's going to be very busy here at the Derby Bar and Grill, and as Drew mentioned on the Saturday show, don't forget to call 604-536-2978 to
get your reservations, get your tickets early.
Because it will be crowded. Yeah. If you can't make it to Hastings, you definitely want to be here at the Derby Bar and Grill. Have lots of specials going on, and it's always a fest.
Nothing more special than having a horse trying to win the Triple Crown.
No, it's going to be a lot of fun to see if American Pharaoh can do it. But it should be a great week.
What's your pick? You think he can do it?
No. I'm going no, because I got 39 years on my side.
It's
you
tough.
know what I mean? Because
it's so tough. I went back and watched YouTube videos the other day, like Smarty Jones won by like 11. Big Brown. I mean, how do they get beat? But they do. So
they do. A mile and a half gets him. It's the third race in 5 weeks. It's not, if you run like to 92% of your ability, because you are running the third time in 5 weeks, three different racetracks, it can get you beat. And there are horses that are sitting in the weeds that are waiting, that didn't run in the Preakness, that may make things a little uncomfortable for American Fair. Well, we'll see. But if he does it, it'd be great for it to happen for the industry. But it's great to have all the interest anyway. There'll be a lot of a lot of media coverage,
a lot of free advertising for us
into
in the next
it.
3
It's going to be a lot of fun. So it should be horse racing back on the map, which is where it's right where it should be, top of the headlines. On behalf of Drew, thanks everyone for tuning in here to Handicappers Corner, and we'll see you next time here at the Derby Bar and Grill.